Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Rundown, where we talk about 2A news and conservative views. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. But as we all know, I do not do this program by myself.
That's right. My name is Mike Piwowarski, coming to you live from the East Coast. It's the coast with the most, from the co-host with the most here on The Rundown. 2A views, conservative news, and Craig, guess what day it is?
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos.
It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity, yum. It's like a treat.
Yes, folks, Taco Tuesday, my favorite meal of the week.
Yeah, it is a good one. It's a good one, that's for sure. Can't beat the good ones. So,
Cannot beat the good ones, Any special taco plans today?
no, before I realized it was Taco Tuesday, I had some leftovers. So I
Well,
had some ravioli.
Well, we have some leftover chicken, which is going to turn into chicken tacos this evening. So,
There you go. I love the chicken tacos. I think they're my favorite. Little cilantro, little onion, little adobe spice. Good to go.
that's all you need. That's it.
Yep.
That's it. Homemade street tacos. Get down with the get down.
Get down, get down.
All right. Well, hey, let's go ahead and get into the program. But as you know, before we do, we got to pay them bills. So let's give a quick shout out to our sponsors.
Yep. Let's say hey to our good friends over at Hitman Industries. That's my phone, by the way. There we go. Genoa City, Wisconsin. Sorry, not answering. Let's say hello to our good friends at Hitman Industries. That's hitmanindustries.net. Hitmanindustries.net. If you got yourself an AR in the past 5 years, you probably have one of their barrels and don't even know it. Well, now you can buy from them factory direct. Just check them out at hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly fighting the good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. Make sure you check out the California 6th congressional race while you're there. Craig DeLuz is North Sac. If you want the best in concealment holsters on the market, check out Hog Holsters. That's HAWG holsters.com. The best in tactical concealed holsters available. Use the discount code The Rundown. It's all one word, no spaces, all caps. Get yourself a nice little discount. And if you're looking for field gear, going outdoor gear, tactical gear, whatever it may be, you can get everything except the gun at uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. Please take a moment, visit our sponsors today. Check them out. We make it real simple for you. We put the links in the description to this program. So all you got to do is go there, click on their website, check them out. If you like what you see, spend some money with them. Make sure you tell them, though, that the guys over at the Rundown were the ones that sent you. Also, if you haven't already done so, please make sure, like, share, subscribe. We don't care if you do it on Facebook or YouTube. That'd be fine, but you don't have to. Make sure you're doing it on Rumble. Make sure you're doing it on Spotify. Make sure you're doing it on OpsLens. Make sure you're following us at the places where you know that our free speech rights are going to be protected. In fact, if you're watching us on YouTube or Facebook right now, I would encourage you, go over to Rumble. Just get out of there. Get out of there now. Like it and then leave. And then go over to Rumble, go over to Spotify. Spotify's recorded, so you're not going to be able to comment on that, but you can on Rumble. So make sure you guys are following us, and like, share, subscribe, and encourage your friends to do the same. And with that, we're going to go ahead and move into our first story here. New York, while Mayor Adams there in New York is doing everything that he can possibly do to try and shed their reputation as a sanctuary city, Mayor Adams has decided that, or the city council has decided, yeah, no, we're still gonna hand out cash. We're still gonna hand out the cash. We're gonna be good. In fact, let me clarify. We're still going to be a sanctuary city. In fact, we're not just going to welcome you, but we are going to offer you some cash for coming here to the fair city of New York. Right here, we have New York immigrants receiving cash welfare payments after a quick rule change. It says here, Kathy Hochul's Office of Temporary and Disability Assistance modified its safety net assistance program's parameters in 2023, making migrants who have filled out an asylum application forms eligible to receive even more taxpayer dollars. A memo quietly sent out to New York welfare office workers from the Hochul administration on May 12, 2023, carefully revised the standards needed to qualify for SNA, expanding them to include non-citizens who are considered permanently residing under the color of law. PRUCAL is not an immigration status, but a public benefit category used by OTDA for the purpose of safety net assistance eligibility. The memo reads, before listing the several different kinds of immigration documentation SNA providers should accept from the migrants. So in other words, Mr. Pivowarski, they're creating an additional incentive for people to come to New York. I'm wondering how New Yorkers who are paying very, very high taxes and receiving very little benefit for it and are being mugged and robbed at gunpoint by moped-riding border crossers, I'm wondering how they feel about this idea.
Well, like they're being mugged and robbed by Kathy Hochul. That's how they feel. You know, more of their money's coming out of their pockets, and they have to pay it out to these migrants. I can tell you, listen, those folks out on Long Island, the Nassau and Suffolk County, they've been fighting with the state's tax withdrawals from them because they've been funding what's going on in the city, and they've been funding what's going on around the state. They've been trying to, Craig, much like California, they're separate and become their own state just to get away from it, to get away from the tax pressures that the state's putting on them. And now you've got Kathy Hochul coming in, taking from the good citizens that have still stayed in New York, whether they can leave or can't leave. Most of them cannot afford to leave, and now she's stealing money from them. It's got to have them furious.
Well, and keep in mind, this is a state that's like, I mean, the state and a city that is basically saying we're going bankrupt because of the tens of thousands of migrants that are being sent here. Forget the millions that are coming across our southern border that border states have to deal with. They're having to deal with tens of thousands, and it's basically because on top of being a sanctuary city, they have a right to shelter rule. It's bankrupting them as a city. And yet here you have Kathy Hochul, and by the way, let's be clear, this passed the legislature. So they have literally, the Democrats who are in control of that state are providing an incentive for people to come to the United States in general, to New York State specifically, in order to live.
Yeah, absolutely right. And she wrote in there, right, that these people were there legally, right? She said legally. Well,
they're saying it doesn't have anything to do with their legal status. That what they're saying is that it has to do with their ability to give benefits. So in other words, their immigration status is pending.
Yes, that's what she called it, pending immigration status, which means illegal because they filled out asylum paperwork in New York rather than at the border when they came across.
Well, exactly. Or even they didn't even come across the border like through one of the gateways. They just, hopped a fence, went across a river, climbed over some razor wire. I mean, clearly entered the country illegally.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely right. Absolutely right.
I'm wondering, and at a certain point, people are going to start to recognize that these are the people that they voted for, and they've got to start voting differently. I mean, that guy who won the special election, what's it called, Swazi? He won the special election because he was He was saying we need to stop this invasion at our southern border. Was kind of his
Yeah.
campaign mantra. Am I correct or am I incorrect?
You're correct. It was this thing that we've seen. Many Democrats here in the last couple of months. They've jumped on the we must do something against immigration bandwagon because they know that's going to get the votes. That's going to get those that don't want to vote Republican are going to latch on to that Democrat new cry of we need border reforms.
And by the way, if you don't believe that this is happening, just Google it, and I'll tell you there are a lot of Democrats who are worried that this is the sign that they're going to come down and they're going. All of a sudden now, immigration. Well, let me clarify. Illegal immigration is now an issue in the Democratic Party.
Yes, it has to be. The only one it's not an issue with is the president, right? And depending on the day of the week, of course, sometimes he says we need controls now and we need a wall, and other times he just does his Roomba thing.
The southern border is secure.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, they sent AOC there. So, yeah.
There you go. All right, so this is a piece, and this is actually in response to a piece over at the New York Post. And now I will admit, first and foremost, it is an opinion piece. And here's why it's an opinion piece. Because the New York Times actually did something that they don't even realize that they have done. And that is their full-blown admission that they are teaching critical race theory, or basically that they are teaching divisive Marxist political ideology in schools. And this is an op-ed piece by Andrew Gutman, and I'll just read some of it here for you. Schools are just teaching honest history. That's been the lie educators, teachers unions, and mainstream media have been parroting for 3 years in response to the growing chorus of parents of all political stripes concerned or asserting schools are indoctrinating the nation's children in critical race theory and leftist politics. Now, the paper of record concedes we were right. In a front page article in Friday's New York Times, Ethnic Studies collides with Israel-Hamas war. Education reporter Dana Goldstein exposes the truth about K-12 education. The article is ostensibly about the blatant anti-Semitism embedded in California's ethnic studies curriculum, which must be in all public schools by 2025, and the graduation requirement by 2030. The legislation was pushed, of course, by the 310,000 member strong California Teachers Union, the largest affiliate of our country's largest teachers union, the National Education Association. As Goldstein reports, pro-Palestine activism is a core component of the ethnic studies discipline. California's curriculum likens Palestinians to Native Americans, refers to Israel's founding as settler colonialism, characterizes Israel Jews as European settlers and oppressors, and harps on the boycott, divestment, and sanctions movement. Now, the article goes on to make a more specific tie to critical race theory, but I'm not going to get into that. I don't want to get into that right now. So you can go ahead, and I'm going to put a link of this article in the comment section. But the point is that what they're saying is that this has always been about indoctrination. And that's what they're trying to do. And it's a particular political ideology that is being indoctrinated. It is the oppressor, oppressed. The closer you are to the white Europeans, the closer your proximity to whiteness, the more evil you are, and therefore must be stopped and should not be allowed to have a voice, and should have to subjugate yourself to those who they believe are of lesser status.
Yeah, I mean, we know this, right? We see that this has been happening, right? We finally got admission that this is happening. We saw Eric Holder and then Senator Obama talk about this, 20 years ago, Craig, where they said it was time to get into the schools and start indoctrinating people to their way of thought, to the liberal way of thought. And this is just that continuation of that. It's been going on since then. And now finally, 20 years later, they're admitting it, right?
Well, exactly. In fact, here I just found the section on critical race theory. Let me just get it right. It says, and now the kicker: critical race theory and systemic racism are key concepts in the discipline, and California's curriculum includes gender expression. New York's Times, on its cover no less, just confirmed everything parents have been ridiculed, shamed, silenced, and labeled domestic terrorists by our own federal government for saying. In other words, if you said that these things are included, they said, no, it's not happening. You are a liar. You are trying to foment hate. You are a racist and a bigot and a homophobe and a transphobe and a communist and everything else is evil that there is. Now keep in mind, Mike, this is in a school system where less than somewhere around 20% of the students can read, write, and do math at grade level.
Yeah. Yeah. Not like we should be focusing on the 3 R's, right? You know, we got to focus on critical race theory instead of reading, writing, and arithmetic.
Yeah, CRT instead of RRR. There you go.
Yep.
But, and once again, and they're wondering why. And by the way, just so you know, Mike, in record numbers, parents are pulling their kids out of public schools in California. And just so you know, not every school district is doing this right now. But the point is that it once it becomes, so taking the sorts of courses where this stuff is allowed, and that's really what it is. In the curriculum, it allows it, which then means that what's going to happen is textbooks and whatnot are starting to be written. Curricula are starting to be written. And pretty soon you're not going to have a choice, or you're not going to be able to find curricula that doesn't include this sort of hateful stuff.
I'm sure it's already in the textbooks. You know, they rotate the textbooks in every couple of years. I'm sure it's already in the textbooks, Greg.
Yeah. Sadly, I do believe that you would tend it to be true. I do know that there are a lot of teachers who basically, how shall we say, exclude those sections. There are a lot of school districts that exclude those sections. But once again, they're also fighting against and they're in non-compliance with the state. And hats off to them. I'm glad that they're standing up to the state. We're doing that because that sort of stuff is not going to be included in any curriculum where I'm on the school board. Just saying.
There you go.
All right, moving right along to our next story. I found this one to be curious, and I made sure to ask my good friend Mr. Pilwarski about it because, you know, he's good on all things gun. But there was a story that came out where it said that Joe Biden signs critical new gun control executive order, and it was actually issued. The story was issued. It was put out. I saw it at Newsbreak. It was I think the outlet they're saying. I forget what the outlet was that they were saying it was. But anyway, it says here, overview of executive order of gun control, right? It says here, President Biden signs another gun control executive order amidst Kansas shooting. So they're trying to say, and by the way, you notice, look in the background there, you see the Biden-Harris thingy, like the campaign thingy. What's interesting about this, Mike, is I've read through the article, and the article doesn't really tell you at all what this brand new executive order does. And it says there's going to be people who are going to be mad about it, gun rights organizations that are going to be mad about it. And then they don't bother to tell you what gun rights groups have come out against it. So I was having a hard time figuring out exactly what this executive order is because it doesn't really do anything new. It really doesn't. Mike, what was your take? And you already shared it with me, but let's share it with the audience.
Yeah. This is the executive order that the president signed back in March of last year. It was about dealing firearms without a license and background checks. So what they were trying to do was curb the amount of people that were selling guns without a license. Anybody that meant if you were selling one gun, 5 guns, because the feds have never defined what's dealing in firearms without a license. Let's say, Greg, I've got 10 guns. And I need to get rid of 10 guns. Evidently, that could be construed as dealing in firearms without a license, or it could be construed as I need money and I'm going to sell my guns off. Are there people out there that buy and sell guns on a regular basis, to make their living off of? I'm sure there are. The same way people buy and sell any of their property. but it's the extreme minority. So what they're trying to do is by saying that they're going after those people that are allegedly dealing in firearms without a license, they're trying to make everyone that sells a gun privately have to go through a background check. Now, there's really no enforcement method for this other than the ATF going around saying, "Are you dealing in guns without a license?" "No, I'm just selling 2 guns that I own." "Oh, okay, carry on." So again, this is more of the president probably spouted it off, his executive order that he signed a year ago, which he probably thinks is yesterday. And now you've got some other news organization that couldn't do something as simple as a Google search and see that this occurred in March of last year.
Now, just so you know that Mr. Pilwarski knows exactly what he's talking about, here's the press release, right? This is from January 2024, right? Supposedly, this is the press release that he is talking about. This is from January 25th, so this was from several weeks ago, right? And in there, they're referencing the executive order, right? There's the executive order. What's the date on that executive order, Mr. Pilwarski?
March of 2023.
March 14th, 2023. So in other words, he's got the media writing a press release about an executive order that he signed almost a year ago. Now, Mike, I think I have figured out what the dealio is. So one of the things working in media is you get really good at recognizing stories that are produced by AI. This was an AI generated story. Someone put this together with AI because they're trying to promote gun control. They're trying to promote Biden and make him look good on his trip to California. And that's what's going on here.
Yeah. And combine that with the president probably said something about this and, again, doesn't know the day of the week from the year that he's standing in.
He probably was standing up and he was giving a thing and he was talking about his executive order to help gun violence. I'm going to California and we're going to talk about my executive order that I just signed. With my tapioca. And It was last year.
Comparatively speaking, what he's been in office 53 years, so he just signed it last year. That's relatively recent.
That is, for him, that is relatively recent. But once again, it is amazing that the media is trying to push a narrative. The president is trying to push a narrative. They're trying to make it seem like he has done more than he has. And he just hasn't. I'm sorry. Yeah. Well, let me clarify. He's done a lot. None of it good. But he's done a lot.
Yep.
All right.
Well, he's done great things for comic relief here in the past couple of years. So that's
oh yeah. Once the late night comedians decided that they just couldn't ignore Joe being Joe, you know, it late night comedy has become somewhat funny again because they're now actually being honest about the fact that dude is just too old to be. Let me clarify. I don't want to say too old. He's too senile. Because I know people his age who are solid intellectually, who can run circles around him. I mean, Thomas Sowell, one of the most prolific economic writers in history, he's still writing and publishing, and he's in his 90s. Now, I'll put it this way. He probably would not be doing as well if he were running the country. But that's why we don't have people 90 years old running the country. High stress job.
Not that there's not 90-year-old people that aren't sharp out there. Listen, how about Brandon's opponent? He's pretty sharp comparatively speaking, or pretty sharp from everything I've seen.
Oh yeah, well there you go. All right, moving right along. This was one that really kind of, when I saw this story, really kind of pissed me off because it once again adds to the story, it further communicates the issue that we're having with having biological males playing in girl sports and how dangerous it in fact is. This is over at The Spun by Sports Illustrated. It says, high school team forfeits game after transgender player injures 3 girls. A high school girls basketball team in Massachusetts reportedly forfeited its game at halftime following multiple injuries. The Collegiate Charter School of Lowell reportedly forfeited its game against Kip Academy at halftime. Kip Academy reportedly has a transgender player on its roster. Multiple injuries were reportedly caused by the player during the game, which got physical. Kip Academy was leading the game 31-14. However, it'll go in the rule book as a 10-0 win via forfeit. The bench was already depleted going into the game, with the 12-player roster having 4 players unable to play. When the coach saw multiple girls go down in the first half, leaving him with 5 players, he made the call to end the game early, according to a report. Once the third girl was injured, the remaining 5 expressed concern to him about continuing to play. The players feared getting injured and not being able to compete for the playoffs. Video has been trending on social media. So let's go to the video. So here's some of the video of the game. That's the player, the one who that's the biological male that just threw another player down on the ground, right? There's one of them. Let's see. Here's another one. Once again, bam. Threw the player on the ground, player hit her head. I mean, dude, I ain't gonna lie. If I were a father and I saw that happen, I would go down there and it would be very, very difficult for me to not beat up the coach of the other team. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would have a hard time. It's like, how dare you allow someone to do this to my child?
It's like they got Bill Lambier and Kurt Rambis out there playing against some middle school girls. It's ridiculous. And I'm with you, Craig. I would definitely go down there and hack a shack on the coach.
Oh yeah. Now, well, and you know what? I was say, you know what? And by the way, if it was a female coach, I'd have a hard time because I don't believe in hitting women. But I guess if you identified, if a father identified as a female momentarily, I guess according to that coach, it would be okay.
Yeah, that seems to be
and clearly I am not condoning violence or violence against women. I'm not. That was a joke. It was a joke. I'm not condoning it. Let me be clear. But that is unacceptable. That is definitely not acceptable. No, and that's just one. Again, that's just one of the players who got hurt. Think about it. You had 3 out of 8 players got injured.
Yeah, in the first half alone. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is just, once again, that's just this incident. That's just this one. There was remember the female volleyball player who got hit in the face, who a year later was still dealing with CTE issues, traumatic brain injury issues, TBI. I'm sorry, TBI.
Yep.
At this point, this is not a transgender issue. This is literally about protecting people. There's a reason why, for example, in wrestling, you don't allow, 103 pounders to wrestle 190 pounders.
Very true. Very true. But it doesn't seem to matter. They want to make their political points more than they're worried about the safety of your children. Remember that.
Right. Exactly. Anyway, I don't get it. I don't want to get it. And I don't think I should have to get it because, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but it's just wrong.
Wrong.
And I hope those parents sue the school. First of all, they should sue their school for allowing that other player to play. Sue the other school. Sue the other school's coach, and sue the whole athletic commission. Anybody who played any role in the decision to allow that player to play against those girls.
I'd go a step further. I'd go to the local police and state attorney's office and have them file charges against the students and the coach.
Yeah, well, They would say, well, it was in the middle of a sport, so they may have a problem with that. But 3 injuries
Sure, but
by one
throwing
player is a little bit hard to get past.
Throwing someone to the ground and bouncing their head off the hard ball, the hard top, is not part of the sport.
When fighting for a rebound, because I will say that I have played basketball and have taken the ball from somebody who refused to let it go, and well, let's just say that they got bounced.
Yeah, but getting bounced and throwing someone to the ground is different. The video I just saw was throwing someone to the ground.
Well, the player had the ball and snatched the ball, and the person didn't let go, so therefore they fell to the ground. I've done that.
Looked like they put some body into it also.
Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Well, it is a basketball move. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
It's still
to
once
strip
again
the
the
ball.
physical differences between the players.
Yeah.
Not good.
To spin and strip the ball is a move. To spin, strip, and force them to the ground with your body movement by pushing them down with your shoulder and your hip, that's not so much. Especially when you're considering male versus female. Not a move that's required.
I've seen players do that and get away with it.
Well, all right, Craig, then let's let them do this at your school then.
Well, I just don't want boys doing it to girls. If girls do it to girls, that's fine. If boys do it to boys, that's fine. I'm talking about physically superior males doing it to females. No.
Which is what we just watched on video.
Exactly. All right, moving right along. We're now to our parting shots, brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces. Get your hog holster today. You might have heard that the city of San Francisco is now allowing a Chinese citizen, a non-citizen of the United States, to sit on their elections commission. And that individual, well, is none other than Xi, because President Xi has been appointed to serve on San Francisco's election commission. Which, by the way, if it's any Chinese national, it might as well be Xi. Just saying.
Yeah, right? Yep.
All right, now we also have a confluence of issues all colliding to create one tragedy there in New York City. And that is that New York City teachers worry that trucker boycott could delay shipment of gay porn to schools.
I mean, what are they going to do? How are they going to teach?
Exactly. How are they going to teach the kiddies gay without the gay porn?
It's true.
Because, by the way,
Yeah.
straight porn is not allowed in schools. Only gay porn.
That's right.
Because if
That's
you
right.
try to remove, and this is literally in California, I'll tell you, this is funny because I've had a lawyer tell me this, that if a book has objectionable material, if it has pornographic content in it, but it's an LGBTQ book, you could be fined and lose funding if you remove it from your library. There you go.
Yeah, that seems reasonable. That seems reasonable.
That seems reasonable. All right. The irony. This post right here. This is the very definition of irony. Mike, you want to describe this one to the folks who are just listening?
Why I got to describe this? What is? I gotta describe. It's the back of a bus. It looks like a city bus.
Uh-huh.
And on the very back of it is a placard. About a third size. It says honoring Rosa Parks, and yet they put it on the back of the bus.
They have a picture of Rosa Parks, and they're honoring Rosa Parks on the back of the bus. Is that not the very definition of irony?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
That's our Black History Month post for the day.
There we go.
Wow. All I have to say is wow. What bureaucrat blew that one?
Yeah. It's probably
Side of the bus.
Well, let's see. It's a city bus, so it's probably a government job, which means it's in California. It's probably an immigrant that doesn't speak English. An illegal immigrant.
There you go. Probably. All right, Mike. Well, before we tune out today, it's time to give one last quick shout out to our sponsors. You want to handle that for us?
Yep. Hitman Industries, hitmanindustries.net. You can get rifle and pistol caliber barrels at any length you desire for your next AR rifle or pistol build. Make sure you check them out at hitmanindustries.net. California Republican Assembly, fighting the good fight behind enemy lines. Now you can take part in California's future today. Check out the California 6th congressional race while you're there. Craig DeLuz is North Sac. Then, of course, if you want the best in tactical gear on the market, you're going hunting, fishing, getting your military on, whatever you happen to be doing, you can get everything except the gun at uscombatgear.com.
That's right, folks. Please take a moment. Visit my website. That's craigdeluz.com. Just visit craigdeluz.com. Drop off a little bit of cash. Help a brother out. Look, we are spending a lot of resources on digital advertising, on getting stuff out. So every dollar that you spend goes right into advertising, goes right into reaching out to voters and talking to voters and letting them know why they need to support Craig DeLuz for Congress. So please take a moment, support the campaign by, once again, getting the word out, kicking in a few bucks. That's craigdeluz.com. I'd like to also encourage you to visit all of our sponsors. The links are in the description to this program. Go there, click on the button, click on there, visit them, tell them the guys over at The Rundown sent you. And with that, we are done for the day. And we appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate you liking and sharing the program and encouraging your friends to do the same. We will be back tomorrow on Hump Day. Y'all stay safe.